What's up, guys? Welcome to Bleav in Rams, part of the Bleav Network. Aaron Coscarelli back with you. Be sure to subscribe, comment, rate, follow this podcast. You know the drill. And you can also catch us on Bleav TV. Follow us on all the socials. You know the drill, guys. I am so excited. I can't even begin to describe. I have my wine here. And one of my favorite people to talk all things football. I can't even picture a better evening than a glass of vino and Will Blackmon in the house, former 12-year NFL vet, Super Bowl champ, Boston College Hall of Famer, sommelier, and now senior analyst at Boston College. You were also with the Rams. But before we get into everything.
Wait, former coworker. Don't forget.
Former NFL Network colleague. Hello.
Where it began.
One of my favorites to work with, and I miss dearly. It is so good to see you, Mr. Will Blackmon. How are you doing? You just got off the golf course. Cheers, by the way.
Cheers. You have wine. I have some bourbon here.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay.
No, I have wine is all over my life, so sometimes I switch it up. Cheers, by the way. Boom.
BetOnline is your number one source for all your summer sports this season, from MLB, golf, NBA, and NHL playoff stats. All the latest stats, news, and scores available to follow your favorite teams. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Cheers. I'm drinking orange wine.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a big fan of it. How do you rate orange wine amongst your palette of varietals that you sommelier?
Well, orange wine is actually pretty cool. It is from a white grape, like white wine. People think it's oranges or something like that. No, it's from white wine. And basically, when you make white wine, you press the grapes from the skins and you just ferment the juice as is and so on. With red wine, you actually press the juice, but then you ferment it with the skins and everything on it. That's how you extract all the color. So with white wine, they press it and they leave the skins and they extract some color from the skins, which creates the orange wine. They let it macerate or soak in those. So
I feel like orange wine is becoming like the new rosé in the summertime. It's my favorite thing to drink. This has a little fermented. It's like kind of funky, but I like it.
Okay.
I'm into it.
A little natural in there.
Yeah, it's got little sediments and stuff. Anyway.
Yeah, well, for the fermentation on the skins. Yeah, it's very LA.
Listen, I want to talk to you about wine, your wine business, how you got into it, but we need to get into the most important part of this interview, which is pretty
Oh,
good.
My God.
You had a run-in with Larry David. Tell me all about it when you were with the Rams. How did that go?
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. He was very, very cool. It was very, very cool meeting Larry David. I'm a huge diehard fan of the show. And it was cool just to hang out with him and chat a little bit. And it was funny. It's even more funny because we just moved and our neighbor, my wife Shauna, she's like, oh my God, our neighbor is Larry David. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, he looks like Larry, hair like Larry, walks like Larry, and his name is Larry. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And sure enough, I meet him and it all checks off. And then the craziest thing is his wife, her name is Cheryl. So I'm like, this is nuts. But yeah, we're big fans of the show since the early 2000s. Haven't missed an episode, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love Curb, and I have to wonder if actually as a neighbor, Larry David, is he a good neighbor? Is he kind of awkward? I mean, I bet he's all the things. So
he is who he is on and off camera. He's the same person.
He is. That's
same person.
I would hope so. I would expect nothing less. Well, that's amazing. And look, I want to talk to you a little bit about your expertise because obviously you're coaching in all different realms and you spent some time with the Rams. And as a DB and as somebody very knowledgeable about the secondary, this was kind of an issue for the Rams last year. And they made some additions in terms of free agency by adding Trey White, Darius Williams, Cameron
Right.
Curl in the safety room. What did you see from your perspective in the secondary when it came to, Rams ramping up this offseason, heading into the season with regards to the defense?
Yeah, it was pretty cool to. I love going to a new room and meeting the guys, but it starts off with the secondary coach and Aubrey Pleasant, who I known since we were in Washington together. He was a quality control guy, and I knew right away he was instantly one of the most brilliant people I've met when it came to not just the defensive back position, but just football in general. And he honestly helped me in my transition from nickel to safety. And I just remember he would every Friday, Coach Perry Fuel, who was our secondary coach, would have Aubrey come up and give a 2-minute presentation, basically like 2-minute situation before the end of the half, at the end of the game. And it would be so detailed and elaborate, and it was absolutely outstanding. I'm like, yo, this dude is like beyond smart. And I was probably in year like 9, 10, like I was already real cerebral, but to see his perspective. And so, usually during the week or night before games, I'm like, yo, Aubrey, I'm like, come to my room now and let's go over some film. Let's go over some stuff. Cause he was super smart. So for them, just a secondary to have him alone, is that's the biggest acquisition that they have for him to come back to the Rams last year and be there. And so, yeah, to have, T White, he's so happy like to be there, and he's such a really cool individual, Cam, and just it's such a solid room. And then Darius, yeah, for him to come back, and he's super athletic and super mature. And then to have the rookies that they have coming in, I mean, these guys are outstanding, willing to learn. Cam Kitchens, and you got Cam, like you got a couple Cams, you got Charles Woods, who's really cool, Josh Wallace, Jalen McCullough, and then Kenny Logan. They're all really, really sharp students. Like it's pretty impressive just to be there. And I don't really have to say much. I just really, really listen. I kind of give them the game in terms of like how to have longevity and being a professional overall, but they are way ahead of most people that I've seen coming in. So it's a fun room to be in. And also for Aubrey and I to have this friendship was cool. And that's kind of why I came back. I applied for it last year and I was with the Cowboys. I applied for it again this year and the Rams called instantly. And it was, I was with Shawn McVay also in Washington and Aubrey. So to come back and be with those two guys who I know we all have the utmost respect for each other, not just playing together, but I would come back to the facility really late at night. This is in Washington, and watch film. And when I would come in there, like say 9, 10:30 or whatever it is, Shawn would be in his room and Aubrey be in his room. And Joe Barry be in his room too. I don't want to leave him out.
10:30 at night?
Yeah, but just on their own, just going over stuff. Like they were in the trenches. So I think seeing each other in there and me coming back, like we all gained like tons of respect for each other. So I think that's where it started. I know I said a lot.
No, that's great. I mean, look, here's the thing that's interesting about you is you have a long resume of being in several different rooms, right? You were with the Packers, the Giants, the Jags. You mentioned the Commanders. How is the Rams room different?
It's just you have young players and young veterans. That's what it is. You don't really have. I don't think anyone there is double digits. And so every room I've been in, actually, I'll take that back. The secondary I was with in Green Bay, I think Charles Woodson was in year 7, Al Howard was in year 8. So it was kind of similar to that regard, where you had those, but we had like those two guys were literally like beyond, but it was cool to have something similar and, someone of Darius White's pedigree to come in there and just really offer his veteran leadership, so it's a fun room to be in.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Like, what's Shawn McVay like for you? I mean, I know you've spent time with him when you were in Washington, but now he's the head guy in LA, and people love playing for him. What is it like? What is it in your opinion, being so close to him that makes him so electric?
He's just a genuine person. Like, he truly wants the best. He truly wants to see others succeed. And that is a rare quality to have in a coach in any sport. Usually, when someone gets a position like that, they can easily become a tyrant or a dictator and like, this is how we're going to do it. It's my way or the highway, and really run the show. And he truly, genuinely wants others to win. He wants his coaches to succeed. That's why you see a lot of his coaches leave and getting coordinator and head coaching jobs. Like, he's part of that whole deal now. Belichick was like that. Pete Carroll was like that. Like, he's in that realm of doing that. And I remember, I think it was 2016. We fly to London to play against the Bengals. This is when I'm in Washington, and he and I are sitting next to each other on the plane. And I remember he and I were just talking just football, and he was just saying like he just hopes he's doing a great job where he can eventually hopefully get a head coaching opportunity. And he's like, I just want to just make sure I'm doing everything right here. And when I get the opportunity, I want to do right by those people there. I want to do right by the organization, by my players, to hopefully one day, be a head coach. He said, I really, like, he was genuinely speaking in a soft tone, like really wanted that to happen for him. It was wild. It was like 5 months later, he's the head coach of the Rams. Like, there was nothing out there that indicated he was going to get an opportunity. And sure enough. And so to see where he is now, and he's big on accountability. He's big on being transparent. He's big on, if I mess up, please call me out so I can fix it. He's big on having a healthy room, a healthy organization. It's cool because you don't see that. And that's why he's consistently having success. That's why last year when everyone counted them out, they were in, with the team they had, despite them dealing with so much adversity. Like, that's Shawn. Like, that's what's really cool. And it permeates throughout the entire building.
Yeah, I love hearing you say that, because I think, when he's had what was he, 30 even when he was hired as the head coach, or maybe even younger than that. And when you're so young and you have great power, it can be easy to abuse your authority. And the fact that he's open to having people call him out, I always say I hate being around people that yes me to death. I loathe it more than anything. And I'm sure even with you as a professional athlete, you have a lot of people around you that want to say yes to you. It's easy to say yes to you. It's easy to say yes to Shawn, but to invite that in gives the family a great comfort in knowing, hey, I can speak up here if I feel like there's something not right. And it seems like that's really, not just from you, but it seems like that's really important from what I hear with regards to people who are in the room with Shawn McVay.
Yeah, he's a great listener, and he's a great student, and he's a great learner, and everyone's voice is important. He's been around, some strong coaches, like, starting with John Gruden. He hired Wade Phillips his first year. He's been around Joe Barry. He had Staley. He had Raheem. Morris. He had some strong people that he brought in, that he hired, that he's worked with. Obviously he's been with Kyle and LaFleur in Washington. So he's been around some really strong, solid individuals, and he's learned a lot. And he took what he wanted to add and did things he didn't want to, bring aboard when he finally got the opportunity, and you see it. And it's not surprising to me because even when he was the offensive coordinator, the big hotshot in Washington, he was always humble and always tried to make sure that he gave the offense and his quarterback the best opportunity to succeed. Think about all his quarterbacks that he worked with got paid, got paid again, got paid twice. So it's really cool.
I want to get into the quarterbacks, but really quickly, no longer does he have Raheem. I'm sure you saw Chris Shula in action. How is he adjusting to his new title?
Yeah, Chris is cool. I never, this is the first time I got to hang out and meet Chris, Coach Shula, and he's super cool. It's funny because you're in the building and you really don't know whose title is who, because everyone is sharing, everyone is helping each other, everyone, sits in each other's rooms, everyone is there's no ego in there, and it's cool, you know. It's and he's really cool, man. He has a great command. The room listens, and he's super cool. He's fun to be around, and he again, he has that genuine energy. You know, you can tell he and Shawn has been friends for a long time. I think that grandpas worked together.
Oh, really?
I think yeah, because Shawn's grandpa was the GM for the Niners way back when, and I think he was in Miami too with Coach Shula. I can't remember, but I know they worked together somehow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. The family lineage for McVay is very known and respected, highly respected, and it's cool to hear you talk about coaching because I've known you as the analyst and the former player. In fact, actually, I think when I first met you, you were still playing, and now you're seeing sort of a changing of the guard in terms of coaching styles, and your finger is on the pulse with that change, right? Because even though Bill Belichick is so highly regarded, notable, and has accomplished so much, he's entering the 2024 season without a job that he wanted to get. Is that?
Do you think he wanted to coach this year? Like, be honest. I know the narrative is like he is trying to, but I kind of feel like if someone's gonna bring you in to interview, like, why not listen? He was kind of.
Well, wouldn't it have been his job to lose? It seemed like he didn't get the opportunity to say no to it. So I don't know. I'm loving him in front of the camera. It's a great,
He's great.
He's great. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love seeing this new kind of perspective of Bill, because interviewing him as a media member was very challenging. And now he's taking his turn at being, an on-camera personality. And I love. Did you watch the roast? What'd you think?
I thought it was great. I did. I mean, obviously it was aggressive, but I really thought Nikki Glaser like stole the show. I thought she was just absolutely just obliterated everyone. And
it was sure.
She was punchline for punchline. I thought she did awesome.
She made all those pro football players look like amateurs as soon as she got to the mic and started, doing her thing. She's so good. That roast was amazing. You know what? Kudos to Brady. Kudos to Belichick. Kudos to Kraft. That's not easy to get up there and take all those.
It is not easy to go up there and get cooked. No way. No way. Cooked. Well, roasted, I guess.
Cooked is so accurate. They all got cooked. It was so funny. Bledsoe. I mean, it was my favorite roast by far. And I think
it was cool to see Drew, because Drew and I became really close ever since I dove into the wine scene. He was actually one of the first. Actually, ironically, the first person to reach out was Mr. Kroenke, and then the other person to reach out was Drew Bledsoe. So they were the first two when I started this journey.
Yeah, you're a big wine guy, and I want to get into that because I love wine, and my dad used to make wine back in the day as a hobby. He would submit it to fairs. They would win first.
No way.
They would win first place.
He submitted it?
Yeah, they would win, and they would win. I mean, it was just like a Zinfandel, and it was a cab.
Okay.
So
some warm vintage. Warm varietals. I can't say the word. My mouth is so dry. Where is my? I got like chapstick somewhere.
You got your bourbon. Right, you got your bourbon.
I keep licking my.
Lindsay edit.
Yes. Sorry, I'm the youngest.
I'm
the
just
youngest
upset.
Of three.
I'm upset we didn't get any wine while you were here in LA doing this job. But you know what? I'll take it up with you later.
That's your fault. That's your fault.
Okay, really quickly though. So
you should have came to our practice.
Didn't get an invite. Stafford. Can we talk about Matt? Let's talk about Matthew Stafford. 36, obviously tore it up second half of the season last year. You're coaching guys playing against him right now on his team. Mm-hmm. How's he looking? Give us the tea.
He's great. Look, when I do my assessment of there's a small group of quarterbacks that just have that arm that is just absolutely outrageously dangerous. And I have Rodgers, Mahomes, and Stafford. Like, you can throw Josh Allen because he has like an absolute cannon, but in terms of like pinpoint accuracy, put the football where I want it, doesn't care if it's off the platform, which way I'm looking, left hand, no look, don't matter. Like, those three are it. And I played with Aaron Rodgers, played against Aaron Rodgers. I played against Stafford when he was in Detroit. I never played against Mahomes, but I don't need to. I've seen enough. And it was cool. It was funny. I went up to Matthew when I saw him, and I remember when I was in Washington, we played against him, and I dropped 2 interceptions against him. And both times I dropped the ball, but I also broke a finger. Like, that's how hard oh yeah, like I got this one here. I got this one here that's just bending completely that way. So he broke that one, and then I got another one right here that he broke that from just going
Mm.
like this. Oh, one of them went right through. Like, that one could have ended the game. It went right through my hands. And okay, what's crazy about that is I went to the Rams training camp, I think 2 years ago, and I got to speak with Shawn, and we were laughing about that. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I remember that play. You know, you guys were in 3 buzz, you were in nickel, and you were playing the hook player right there, and Stafford tried to lick you off, and you threw it right there to Golden Tate, and you dropped it." Like, you know how he's crazy in terms of like remembering everything. He remembered what we were doing as a defense, and so there's a lot of
McVay.
tie-in. So
McVay.
yeah, this is McVay telling me that.
Insane.
He remembered what the defense was in and everything that we did. But no, Matthew's super cool, and then it's such a cool room with him and Jimmy G back there and Bennett. It's really fun to watch them.
So did Stafford know you broke your
No,
fingers?
of
Okay,
course
so
not. No,
you must have told him when you were there this past.
I told him when I first saw him, we were laughing about it.
What did he say?
I don't know. He probably broke many fingers, I'm sure.
He's like, "Sorry, dude. Sorry about that."
He's like, join the club.
Wow. Okay, so your top 3 QBs in today's modern era.
Like, in terms of
It's not
just like arm
Brady.
talent.
It's
No, in
Roger.
terms of like arm talent, like that deal. Yeah,
It's
like okay, there are some like offenses where it's like, okay, the QB is good, but watch the offense. Like, but this, when you're playing against guys like Stafford and Rodgers and Mahomes, it's like, my point is they can put the football wherever they want to.
Mhm.
If you're on this side, they throw it on this guy's shoulder. If you're over here, they'll throw it at his knee. They might be like tripping to fall and still throw an accurate football 40 yards down the field. Like, they have just a crazy like location with the football.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's those 3 for me.
And that must have been, look, McVay is a genius when it comes to the offense, getting rid of Goff, and then bringing Stafford in. And we had Maurice Jones-Drew on last week talking about the short running back, and the short running back was decidedly strategic because Stafford's a drop back passer. And it suited more that style of play as opposed to a Todd Gurley, who was sort of in the previous regime. Does that make sense to you, how MJD is looking at the running back play in terms of it being a better marriage with Stafford?
I mean, I guess I can see in terms of the drop back, at least like Goff was taller than Gurley, so he was fine in the drop back there. But it makes sense, and also too, just I feel like maybe those short running backs are hard to find. They're probably a better mismatch, in terms of coverage, and being they already have low center of gravity, they're harder to bring down and can probably get more yards. So that's fair. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Run it up the gut as opposed to what he was saying is the side to side and then having the knee exposure. But I mean, it's all interesting. And for you, the rookies, did you get any glimpses of the rookies? What were they like? Were they excited? Were they nervous?
You mean just in general, or
The
like
guys on
just the
defense. Well,
class,
the
the
guys
whole
on
rookie
defense.
class?
Yeah.
No. Well, they already were working before I got there, and so just to be there, again, they were just willing to learn. They were excellent students. They were, but they also have a really good teacher, and I feel like Lesney and Shawn McVay, like, they did a good job of finding guys that fit, fit the I guess the character and the identity of the organization, and so I think therefore they were more receptive to Coach Aubrey and Coach Beek's teaching in the secondary.
I'm feeling good about this year. I'm feeling really good if I'm a Rams fan because I think the heartbreak a lot of fans in LA were suffering from was the news of 99 leaving and the void it left.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's promising in terms of, what they're trying. You have Raheem Morris gone, you have Donald gone, you have new guys in the secondary. It seems like the defense is going to be a work in progress. And what MJD said is the overcompensating for a lack of the strength they had on defense, they're going to try to score more points. Does that make sense?
That is to be determined. I think, well, one, I think as a Rams fan, you should just be excited because the foundation is still there. And in any top organization, the foundation, is up. I say upstairs because most buildings, the executive offices are upstairs, and it starts there. And when that is in order, you always have a chance. When the owner, the president, the GM, and the head coach are all on the same page, and they have proven success, and you have the quarterback, that's a great start. You're ahead of most people or most teams rather. And those teams are the ones that are always consistent.
Mhm.
You saw the Steelers re-sign, Mike Tomlin. They're keeping their core together when it comes. That's why you see the same teams in the playoffs every year, because they have their foundation set. So that's a great reason to be excited. Again, no one really thought the Rams were going to the playoffs that last year, and they were able to handle adversity and find a way to get in there and battle, and so that's because you have the culture and the foundation set. So you bring in guys that want to compete. And in terms of like defense, I think they're probably gonna knock out the park when they got Verse and Fisk, the two teammates from Florida State. I got to see both of them because they played against Boston College in the ACC, and I got to watch Fisk. I was at the Senior Bowl, and just to see how live and active he is, and versus, him combined with BY is they look like two bodyguards, and so yeah, those some big dudes. And along with too, like the coaching staff is great. Again, everyone's on the same page, and I know I'm being redundant and repetitive when I'm saying this, but that's rare. And
Yeah.
as you stated earlier, I've been in four places. I've been on four teams, where I seen what it should look like,
Mhm.
and so and it starts at the top.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, and I remember speak when I was on. I used to do Total Access, and this is when I think Andrew Luck left, and then no, Andrew Luck was still there. I think he was getting his head beaten, and there was a lot going on with the Colts because at one point they were doing very well and they weren't. And I remember I spoke to Chris Ballard, and he said that it starts with me setting the tone, the GM for the Colts. It starts with me. It starts with the owner. It starts with everybody setting the tone so that it can trickle down to the rest of the building, even to the groundskeeper, like to them,
Mhm.
like they know what's going on in this place,
Mm.
and that's what's cool being there. Like everyone's voice matters. Doesn't matter if you're making food, you're taping ankles, you're mopping. It doesn't matter. You have a voice, and so
Love
that's
that.
yeah.
I love that. I love that. You're being redundant in all the right ways, though, because I really agree with you, Will, that I think the foundation is the most important part. And if it's not
In any
there
business,
in any business, in any relationship,
even Bleav. Shout out to Braun. What up, Braun?
shout out to Ron, shout out to E. No, exactly. I think I'm so in deep admiration and respect of the way that you see the game because you do have a long resume of playing the sport for a while and you've seen it not have a good foundation and what those cracks can do to the locker room. I've been in a good locker room as a reporter and I've been in a not great locker room. I remember I covered in 2013 the Niners with Jim Harbaugh and Colin Kaepernick at the time was the quarterback. And then I was with the Raiders and Terrell Pryor was the QB. And I mean, they maybe won 3 games that season. It was
Right.
a tough go for the Rams. They were still in Alameda, and for the Raiders, did I say Raiders? For the Raiders, when I got a glimpse of both of those locker rooms at that time back then, it was in deep contrast of each other.
Right.
And one organization was going to the NFC Championship, and the other, did not do so well in their division. So thank you for saying that. I love that, and I deeply respect the way you see the game, and I deeply respect the way you drink your wine. Can we please get into your wine MVP, because it's so fascinating to me that you're like this, like super athletic, cutthroat,
Super
defensive
athletic.
back, legit, former pro football player. And then you have this really refined palate and deeply respected in the wine world. How did you get into it? And can you just tell us a little bit more about your business?
Yeah. So I always enjoyed wine, and I just remember when I got drafted to Green Bay, Charles Woodson was already there. And speaking of Raiders, he got into wine because they have training camp in Napa, which I
Mhm.
was so jealous that they got to do that.
How
And he got to know everyone. And I found out then in 2006 he had his own wine called Charles Woodson's Wines, 24 Wines. And he would always take us on road games, take us to dinner and like wine and dine us. He never hazed us, he spoiled us. And it was pretty cool because I got to try
Mm.
some fun wines. And I just always wanted to know and learn more. And so I just kind of went down this rabbit hole of like finding magazines and different publications and going online and trying to teach myself like what to know, to how to learn and know more about wine. And then eventually, later in my career, this is when I was in Washington, I saw the documentary Psalm, which was on Netflix. Shout out to Jason and Christina Weiss at Psalm TV, and they produced this movie of guys training to be master sommeliers, which is the highest level you can achieve in the quartermaster's program, master sommelier program. And I was like, yo, where the hell do they do that? Where I can just go take a class and learn. And so I started doing some research, and one of the master sommeliers is Peter Neptune, and he had a school that was near me, and they offered the WSET program, which is Wine and Spirit Education Trust, and it's a wine institution that's based in London, but they offer the program here in different you know institutions and different or even online. So one off season, I went straight to that school and I just jumped in and took level 2, and it was an 8-week course, and I ended up passing that course with merit. And once I passed that course, it just totally blew my mind away on just the world of wine. So for me, I loved more so of like the culture, the stories, the people, the history. Like it wasn't so much about like the fun lifestyle of twirling wines and in the glass and what have you. It was more so of just of that. And that's the same way I fell in love with football, was the history, the people, the stories, the who paved the way. Because I grew up watching NFL films. I had Steve Sable, and John Facenda's voice and Sam Spence, composing. Like who knows those people? I do, like, and it was really cool, and that's what got me into it. So once I did that, I was just all about it, and it was really cool because during my studies, I found out that there's all 50 states make wine, and I found a wine area in Virginia when I was playing for the for Washington. And so during OTAs one year, I would sneak out after practice and go work on this vineyard. Shout out to Fabioli Cellars who let me come in work on the vineyard during the spring because I really wanted to get my hands dirty and learn. And I was like, okay, eventually I want to get into this space, and because I took all these classes, worked on the vineyard, knew all these people, and created a huge network. So I was like, how can I find a way to marry my network in wine and also in entertainment and sports? And so I was like, you know what? I can offer like really cool wine experiences just to make wine more fun for people and
Mm.
less scary. And so that's when I created the Wine MVP, which is a wine concierge program, where you know we can set up a trip for you to go to any wine region. We can do private dinners, do private tastings. If you go on Randall Cobb's Instagram right now, he just went with a bunch of his buddies to Napa and their wives, and so I set that up for them, myself and Chrissy Delisle, who's my coordinator. We do big events all over the place. People hire us, and then we also have a wine club that I started just so people can have wine in their hands. So yeah, it's been cool, and I got to meet so many people all over the world. I never thought I get to work with so many people. I mentioned earlier an article came out in USA Today Sports by Mike Jones. Actually, he wrote it, and that's when I got a call from Mr. Kroenke and Drew Bledsoe to be named 40 under 40 wine enthusiast, to be included in that just validated everything that I'm doing. And then, Aaron, I ended up going back to school. I went to Sonoma State and got a wine business certification because I was like, okay, if I'm gonna start a business, I need to get some kind of background in this. So I went all in, and then I did go to quartermasters and took level 1, and I passed that. And so yeah, I just went crazy. So I think that's why I'm getting a lot of, I guess, respect in this wine world, because I really, really went hard in terms of like learning and trying to understand and trying to study versus just being another celebrity in the wine space and, you know, I don't know, thinking I know enough or making a private label and throwing my name on it. And so be like, I really went all in.
Yeah, it's so inspiring to see someone all in on something else that they're passionate about, because it gives all of us permission. I always say to young people, diversify your portfolio. And I don't mean that in a financial way. I mean, have a passion.
Yeah.
Have
Well, this was organic for me though. Like I love that you say it like that, like go diversify. But for me, I just like, I'll tell you straight up, I am 1000% football. Like if I can do nothing else but football, like that is fine by me. Even when that whole movement, more than an athlete, came out, like, hey, more than an athlete. And I was like, look, I am just fine being an athlete. It is great. Like, I don't care if you think I'm just a football player. That's fine. And that's all I ever wanted to do. But I am a curious individual, and so for me to go ahead and deep dive into that was fun. It happened totally naturally. Like, I wasn't really trying to go there, but everything that's why right now people are like, oh my God, he's doing so much. You know, he's with the Cowboys, he's with the Rams, he's at Boston College, he's doing wine, he's on TV, he's calling games, he's in London, he's at Sky Sports. This guy's everywhere, and it's like because I just like having fun, you know.
Yeah, but it gives the people who are watching you this, you know, ability to be inspired and permission to do things in that way. And I think sometimes we're scared to do that. And so you pursuing a passion outside of football and going all in, all hands in, you know, I think that's inspiring. And I think I am
I
also
know I see you everywhere.
yeah, of course. Well, you know, it's like
I was like, tennis? What? I was like, surf? What? What is the
I mean, you know, I think for me it's all about storytelling. I just think
right?
people like you or our fellow colleagues in our industry, they have a story to tell, and they're not just a number on their jersey, they're an actual human being. So, it's always an honor and such a privilege to pick your brain, and thank you for sharing all things Larry David, wine, the Rams.
All good.
Hopefully we get you on again. And in the meantime, we will definitely be cheersing to my favorite wine, by the way. You didn't ask, but I'm telling you anyways, is a Cab Franc.
Do I have No, I don't have Cab Franc here. I
Are you a Cab Franc
have.
guy, or what's your favorite? You didn't.
I don't. When in doubt, it's champagne. I'm a bubbles guy.
What?
I have. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I like beer, and if you like beer and you want to get into wine, I would start with sparkling wine. So whether champagne, cava, prosecco, cremant, like
Okay.
yeah, I got Pinot Noir here. I
Like you
have
literally
fermented.
packed some wine before you came down to your LA job?
Oh my God, did I ever? Are you kidding me? I stay. I got a mall. I got a mall back here. Actually, these wines are
You're
from my wine
amazing.
club. Yeah, I got two more with it. It's from my wine
You're
club. Oh,
you're
yeah, come on.
amazing. I
That's what
love
I
it.
do. I got a ton of cigars, which I'm about to go have one right after this. Actually.
Ooh, dang it, Will. Okay. Well, listen. Hey, I'm getting you back on just so that I can hang with you. I appreciate the time. And I think Rams fans feel better about sort of the future knowing you were inside the building for as long as you were. And you really have your finger on the pulse of what other organizations are doing and what the Rams are doing. And I think the future is bright for sure in LA, right?
It is, yeah. I mean, you're never gonna fill the void of 99.
Mhm.
He's arguably the greatest to ever do it, and but you can do it. You're never gonna fill the void, but you can still win by committee.
by committee. I mean, there's just a different way to do it. And
There's a different way to do
yeah.
it, and it's gonna take versus having one major disruptor and other talented players. You're gonna have a talented group in general.
Mhm. All right. Well, I appreciate you, Will. Let's get you back on, and we'll see you soon, okay? Thanks again for doing this.
All good. Thank you, of course.